Hello, good morning and good evening, everyone who is watching this video. Thank you for joining. Joining us today, we have Mr. Anip Uppal from Knox College. Anip is the Associate Director of International Admissions at Knox College. He completed his BA in Political Science and Economics from the University of Bombay and MA in Political Science from Central Michigan University. Following that, he has 13 years of experience teaching political science to students. It's a pleasure to have you with us here today, Anip. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for having me.
So in this video, you will learn about political science. What is political science all about? How is the major structured across the 4 years? What are some of the jobs or career opportunities for political science students? And finally, you will learn about the future trends or where this major is heading. So welcome, Anip, and we're looking forward to learning about political science. And my first question to you is if you could help us understand what political science is and how is it structured as a major across 4 years?
Sure. So I'm pretty sure that all of you would have heard that as human beings, we're social animals. I would say we're also political animals. Political science as a subject matter is individuals completing their responsibility with respect to civic engagement. Civic engagement would refer to you obviously having the right to vote, you having the right to campaign, you have the right to get your voice heard, you have the right to stand for elections. All in all, in political science, we not only teach you the foundation of your governmental system, in the case of India, a parliamentary democracy, in the case of the US, a presidential system, in the case of France, for instance, a mixed system, a hybrid system. So yes, systems do differ country to country, but political science as a stream, as a subject matter, not only helps you develop as an individual who is civically responsible, who is a responsible citizen, but beyond that also tells you in a very comprehensive manner exactly what your political system is, how do you compare to other political systems, and how you can act on a daily basis as a citizen, politically speaking, within your own country. So here at Knox, we offer a comprehensive political science degree. It obviously is a 4-year degree, but the beauty is that we offer an array of courses. So you can take an intro to politics, for example. You can take an intro into American politics, which is fascinating, especially for students coming from India. It's a very different system, obviously the oldest democracy in the world. And so comparing that to the Indian system is, for me personally, fascinating. You can also take courses in American foreign policy, in international relations, which is the relationships between different countries, as well as comparative politics, to spell out a few. But within Poli-Sci at Knox, we also offer courses in public administration, as well as public policy. So if you want to be a policy analyst in the future, if you want to work for the government of India or for another government anywhere in the world, public policy as a concentration within Poli-Sci is extremely helpful. If you want to work for, let's say, the UN or any other international governmental or non-governmental organization, having a background in political science will really put you on the right path. So it's comprehensive, it's a 4-year degree, but you can take, as I said, an array of courses within political science, within public administration and public policy.
All right, so I think political science, public administration, and the third one is?
Public policy.
Okay, so what do you say that these are the 3 concentrations within political science, or are there any other concentrations that students can look at?
So concentration or specialization at the undergrad level is extremely unique. We want you to have a full breadth, a full spectrum of poli-sci courses, but can you take, let's say, more courses, more credits in public administration within poli-sci at Knox? Absolutely, you can. But will your certificate suggest a specialization, for instance, in public ad? Not really. But yes, any person who reads your transcript will know for a fact that you have taken plenty of courses within either public administration or generic political science or public policy. So it really is up to the student as to what your interest lies in. But normally, historically speaking, what students have done is that they've taken courses across the spectrum. So they'll take courses within political science, within public policy and public administration. So it depends on you. If you want to, let's say, specialize at the master's level, which is mandatory, and obviously at the PhD level, and you know for a fact that, yes, I want to get a master's, let's say, in public administration, then I would recommend that you take more courses at Knox within public administration as opposed to other courses we offer in this department. So it breaks down to what you're interested in. But I think initially, at least for the first year and a half, I would say experiment as much as possible. You might come in with the mindset that you're interested in international political science with respect to IR, international politics, foreign policy, etc. But you might take courses in public ad, and you might change. You might believe that public ad is more suited to you. So yes, that's because you come with a particular mindset. Does not mean you stick with that mindset, right? You can change. If you can stick, that's fine. It's your prerogative. But in this case, experimenting, taking a host of different courses across all three will really cement your thought process that, yes, I'm interested in this particular subfield within political science and specialize because American politics in America, obviously, is a specialization on its own, which obviously is not a specialization in any other country. But in the US, if you're really interested in American politics, you can take more courses at Knox at the undergrad level. And we have some fantastic courses that talk about politicking, which is basically your raw politics, which is things like interest groups, political parties, campaigning, retail politics, etc. So you can take those specialized courses at Knox at the undergrad level, and then, obviously your choice, you can either start working after graduation or go to grad school, get a master's and a PhD. So I would say experiment. You never know where your interests lie. It might shift, it might change, but there's no harm because you take all these courses, you'll have a fantastic idea. I mean, personally, my specialization is international relations, international politics, but in the US, you get sucked into American politics, which is perfectly fine. It's fun, it's different compared to Indian politics. Obviously, some similarities, right? It's politics, end of the day, but some similarities, but also differences. So in that case, I got extremely interested. So I made it a point that every semester I taught at least one course in American politics. And so once again, experiment. You never know what lies ahead.
Fantastic. That was very insightful. Thanks for sharing that. My next question to you is if you could tell us about what are some skills that students should develop if they're considering studying political science at college? Yeah,
I think in essence, it really develops your critical thinking skills and your critical writing skills, right? I mean, courses at Knox they're comprehensive and it incorporates a lot of critical thinking and critical writing. So for instance, let's look at the latter first. You will be asked to write short papers as well as long papers, research papers. In that case, you will be doing primary research. Obviously, it's completely your decision as to what you're interested in, what you would like to focus on, and you have unbelievable amount of choices as to what you would like to focus on. But yes, there will be a lot of research and a lot of writing, and also a lot of critical thinking. Right? I think the person who came up with this line that ignorance is bliss, I would disagree. I would challenge that. I don't think that ignorance is bliss. I think that you want individuals to be informed. You want individuals to be civically responsible. You want yourself and your fellow citizens to be, citizens of a country, any country, to be as informed, as engaged as possible. Politics is something that affects you. Even if you live in a bubble, let's say, it still affects you. Every public policy that is created is courtesy politics and politicking. So that affects you from taxes to the degree of infrastructure or the lack thereof, as a couple of examples, to a large degree, if not completely, is determined by politics. So in this case, it's your future, it's your country's future, and so why not take interest? Interest and engagement honestly goes beyond voting. Voting is important, don't get me wrong. Voting is very, very important, local, state, and national. But there are plenty of other things that you can do beyond that, whereby you can, give your time, either as a paid individual, a paid staff member, or just volunteer for a campaign. You could volunteer for an organization, a not-for-profit, whose ideals and what they stand for you really believe in. It could be something local in your neighborhood, in your community. It could be statewide, or it could be national. It's your choice, whatever interests you. But there's so many ways through which you can really make a difference. So consider that, right? I mean, all of us, let's be honest, at one point have blamed the other. And I say absolutely, why not do that? But when you pose these questions, also at times, pose it in front of a mirror. Ask yourself, what have you done to support your community, to support your fellow citizens? So political science, it really is all encompassing. It's extremely informative. It tells you, how you can partake in local politics, national, state politics, how you can make a difference, how you can, get people together and fight for a cause. Obviously, fight for it in a peaceful manner, but get together, make a difference. If you believe that a policy is something that people, you and your fellow citizens do not want, get together, group up, make a difference, showcase to politicians in your state capital or the national capital that, hey, we are the voters. We decide at the end of the day whether you are going to be in office 5 years down the line or not. So put pressure on them indirectly. Tell them that you want a robust debate before a policy is put down your throat. That's your right in a democracy. People have given a lot of blood and sweat to develop India and several other countries into a vibrant democratic system. Simply do not let it fade away. You, at the end of the day, are in the driver's seat. You control it. Politicians are there to serve you and not the other way around. They are civic servants. So in that case, taking political science courses, it's obviously it's thinking, it's writing, but beyond that, it links you to so many other subject matters across the spectrum. If you take politics, and let's say you are also interested in physics, right? Now, obviously, physicians will come up with the policy, science as a whole will come up with the policy, but that policy may or may not see the light of day, courtesy politics. What if politicians say, nah, we simply do not want that particular policy to see the light of day? So politics, to some degree, is deciding whether a particular policy that interests you, in my example of physics, actually sees the light of day or not. So in this case, politics is now directly impacting a policy that has nothing to do with politics. It is science-oriented, but politics, being this grand thing, has that effect on other aspects of life.
Absolutely, that's really true. And I mean, students who are watching this should first of all pay attention to what's happening around them and take active interest in politics. And of course, I think with those, if as you mentioned, it requires critical thinking, logical, and of course creative writing skills as well. Those are some very important aspects or important skills that students must focus on when they are thinking about pursuing a political science major. So fantastic. My next question to you is, if you could tell us what are some of the jobs or postgraduate programs that you usually see students getting into when they graduate after a political science major, as a political science major?
So poli-sci being a real world a highly broad subject field, and really pushing you to think outside the box. That I would put it as null the void and fill the vacuum. And that, for me, equates political science. You have a wide array of choices. You can work for government. You can work in academia. You can become a professor. If you don't want to teach, you can become a researcher. You can work for national organizations, international organizations, not-for-profits. You can work for banks across the world as well. In fact, a lot of individuals who work at Wall Street have a background in political science and in particular public policy. So you can work for think tanks. You can work for corporations as well. A lot of corporations obviously have a division that is focused primarily on lobbying, so that policy that is being debated and sees the light of day obviously is beneficial to them. So you can take that route as well. So you can do plenty of things with a degree in political science, and it really is. It's because it's also it's broad in the sense that not only will you get a lot of information within the realm of poli-sci, but also we pick from other subject matters. So for instance, if you want to work on campaigns, a lot of individuals today are specializing in political psychology, which is basically trying to understand the psyche of voters. So if you are working for a campaign today, you have to know exactly what particular sentence sticks or does not stick, what we classify as bumper sticker politics. So in that case, if you have a focus group, you're basically asking them a wide range of questions, and you say, well, will this particular viewpoint stick or not? Do you like it or not? Will this particular sentence, if I say it out loud in a public speech, stick or not? You are now within the realm of political psychology, trying to understand exactly where the voter is coming from, trying to understand what he or she wants from government, and then answering that. So next time when you are watching television and the news, and you heard a politician say, hey, X, Y, and Z, and you say, hold on, I thought of the same exact thing. It is not that they're Einstein, no, they have done their homework. What they do are focus groups. They get these particular sentences, they get these particular lines vetted, and through that, they use it again and again. So you think that, hey, this particular person is speaking to me. Well, I don't know, maybe, maybe not. Challenge it, challenge that premise. So you can get into political psychology, you can get into political data mining as well. Like today, campaigns are elaborative and very scientific. So in that case, if you want to understand exactly where your voter base lies, you get into data management, trying to understand and assess, hey, will this particular pocket, let's say in Maharashtra or Uttar Pradesh, now vote for us or against us? Will that particular pocket have a numerical advantage or a disadvantage in terms of my candidate and my party winning the polls or not? So if you want to get into the real world of politics, right, into politicking, so to speak, into retail politics, going from door to door and asking individuals, hey, what is it that you want to hear and see from a politician? What interests you? Where are you on this particular question or that particular question? Asking them to, hey, make sure that you're registered, make sure that you vote. If you cannot get to the voting booth on that particular day, what can I do to ensure you are in that booth voting on election day? So that is retail politics. So you can take, as I said, whatever, it's your prerogative, whatever you're interested in. If you're interested in the real world of politics, into retail politics, get into campaigns, work for a party, work for a campaign. If you're more academic, then I would say research, work for the UN, work for the African Union, work for the Asian Development Bank, for instance. You have a plethora of choices, to be honest. And if you believe that you want to complement a degree in poli-sci with, let's say, a degree in history or a degree in chemistry, that's compatible as well. Because I think that whatever information you get from taking a course in poli-sci will be with you for life, because you will always be a citizen. You'll always have the right to vote. And that is how you will make a difference. Always remember, one person equals one vote. That is something that cannot be taken from you. So until you have that particular right, you, if you like it or not, if the politician likes it or not, if the party likes it or not, you are counted. Your voice will be heard, and you deserve your voice to be heard. So you will have, the world is your oyster. You will have a lot of choices.
Superb. That's really terrific. I mean, I was just stuck on the idea of political psychology, right? Like how when these speakers and politicians, when they design their speeches, how much research would go behind every statement that they say, right? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Because I mean, you want to, in terms of campaigning in particular, right? People, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, have a very short memory. In particular, a very short political memory. So what you on the campaign trail, if you ask individuals, hey, were those particular, was that particular rhetoric, was that particular policy ever implemented? The likelihood of an average individual knowing about it is, I would say, minimal. But it doesn't make a difference. If I'm today a politician and I'm running on a platform, and that is a platform that that you like, and based upon that, you can see me in office for the next 5 years based upon that platform, based upon that rhetoric. I've got you hooked. And once I've got you hooked, it becomes extremely difficult to get you not to continue to like me. So it's and that's just one strategy. And then obviously communication is important as well, from the perspective of a party or a politician, to keep engaging your voter base, telling them, hey, this is what I promised, this is what I'm delivering. However, there are plenty of other issues I would like to work on, but maybe I don't have a majority, maybe I don't have the support of the opposition, etc., etc. So why don't you spread the word and make sure that I have a bigger majority next year or next election cycle? So it's also engagement, continuous engagement from the perspective of the party and the politician. But I think at the end of the day, people get the government they deserve. If people pay attention, they will get a government. And let's not be political about it. Let's not talk about left or right politics in terms of center left, center right, extreme left or extreme right. That's your ideology. What you believe in is your ideology. It's perfectly fine. But at the same token, the reason I say you get the government you deserve is because if people pay attention, they will get individuals in office who will deliver not only for you on a personal basis, but will deliver on a national basis. But if people simply believe that, hey, politics is, as your mother said to you at a very young age, do not discuss politics or religion in the public square, and then you are too afraid or uncertain or whatever the reason might be that you don't want to discuss politics, in a public square, so to speak, and therefore you become disengaged. Then you get individuals in office who will help themselves and the people around them, as opposed to you, and will not obviously take into account national interest. So I understand life is difficult. That's true. The last thing you want to do is watch news which is extremely negative and extremely polarizing. And honestly, news today is not objective. It is simply commentary. It is not me reporting the news, but these are my opinions, which is sad, honestly. But there are still plenty of websites, plenty of channels, whereby the news is reported. It's not opined on, it is reported, so that you have the entire range of that issue, and then you decide where do you stand, and more importantly, why. Always challenge yourself. Why do you believe in that? If you believe in a politician, if you believe in a party, if you believe in a particular stream of ideology, that's perfectly fine. That is your opinion. But you have to ask yourself again and again, why? Why and why do I support party A or party B, politician X or politician Y? What is it? Because you have to understand for yourself, first and foremost, where you lie on that ideological spectrum, in that prism. Where exactly are you? So you have to be conscious that this is who you are, this is your identity. After that, you can proceed to the next step. So it's also a lot of, I'd say, inner understanding of yourself, right? I mean, when you meditate, for instance, you're able to, get that center. You're able to, calm your mind. Hopefully I cannot, but hopefully you can. But, you are able to understand yourself better. I say, politically speaking, as political animals, knowing for a fact where you lie on that spectrum will really, really help you in saying that, hey, this is my identity. And I'm not saying the identity will be steadfast. It's fluid. It will change. And honestly, the more information that you digest, the more confusing it will be to create that identity and stick with it. But that's fine. That's perfectly fine. The fluidness is fine. In that case, tell yourself that, hey, I have a broader understanding. I have now more information that I can look at, that I can assess, I can analyze. And so my positions have changed. Perfectly fine, right?
Yeah, so, of course. Yes. All right. Fantastic. That's really insightful. My next question, and we're almost coming towards the end of the session. So my next question to you is, where do you see this major moving now in the next few years? What are some developments that you see happening in political science as a major?
I think fantastic few years ahead for sure. I think more and more political scientists will be used by corporations, but will be used by not-for-profits, will be used by think tanks, by government, by campaigns to really understand where people lie, right? We are in the age of data mining, right? We collect plenty of data. A lot of entities do that, obviously, and sell it. And in this case, politicians, parties, political strategists, campaigners want that data as well. We want to know how you voted in the previous election cycle. We want to know exactly how your community voted. What makes you tick? What's the issue that you care about? Is it a social issue? Is it a cultural issue? Is it a foreign policy issue? It is a religious issue. What is it that really gets your blood boiling? So it's in that case, we are looking at that data. I mean, if I give you a fantastic example with respect to American politics, and if you look at Obama's victory in 2008 and 2012 and compare them, one of the biggest differences is that when he won in 2012, he basically won on the margins. What I mean by that is that there's data available, which is public information as to how people voted in the previous election cycle. So what they concentrated on was, hey, this is a particular part of a state. So let's say I'm looking at Florida, for instance, and I'm looking at Miami, for instance, within Florida. Now I know that Miami is highly liberal. So they tend to vote Democratic, and obviously Obama was a Democrat. So I know for a fact that this particular county is extremely Democratic. Now, for me to win on the margins, what I do is I try to get as many people as possible within that area to come out and vote. And the likelihood of them voting Democratic as opposed to conservative or Republican is very high. Based upon that, I won the state of Florida on the margins. So this is how information and data is used today in campaigns, trying to understand, okay, this is my base, because, obviously resources are not infinite. You have finite resources. So in this case, why should I concentrate on a particular part of the state whereby I do not resonate, whereby my politics does not resonate, as opposed to I should concentrate on other parts of the state whereby people think to a large extent the way I do. So in that case, you look at the data, you then, quote unquote, hit, obviously as a metaphor, you hit those individuals with advertising, with retail politics, basically telling them, hey, you register and you vote. That's the way we win the entire state. So this is how politics today is used. And with all this information available, back in the day, I'll give you an example. Abraham Lincoln in 1860, who actually had a debate on this campus at Knox in 1857, 1858, he spent 75 cents on his campaign in 1860.
Okay.
Compared to 2008, and just for two individuals, Barack Obama and John McCain, $2.1 billion was spent.
Wow.
We went from 75 cents to $2.1 billion.
Yeah.
Because that's the importance of advertising and marketing your campaign and your platform. Back in the day, even in the 1950s and 60s, most of the people working who were political strategists were not really staff members of a campaign. Today, they are staff paid, extremely well-paid members of a campaign, because there's so much riding on their shoulders to ensure the party, the ideology, the personality wins that election. And honestly, India is also following in their footsteps. I mean, we also spend a lot of money on election cycles, state, local, and obviously national. So obviously, when you're spending so many resources, you have so many people as paid professionals as well as volunteers. You cannot ever dismiss the impact of volunteers. Very, very important. If a person is willing to work for you night and day because he or she believes in you, and that person is doing it free of cost, that is a person that you never, ever piss off. That is a person that you curry favor to, because that so-called word of mouth marketing is the best out there. You can develop the best of websites, the best of posters, give fantastic speeches, be a fantastic auditor. Does that help immensely? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But if a person is so passionate that he or she will do it for you day and night and spread it,
absolutely,
that's the beauty.
Yes,
you have locked those individuals in.
Yes.
That's and that is very important. It's like I believe in you. I can see myself in you. You know, when Obama won in 2008 in particular, people said, you know, I resonate with you. When Trump won in 2016, a lot of people said, I resonate with you.
Yeah.
With JFK in 1960, for instance, that's, you know, it's like, you know what, I have no issues whatsoever seeing you in the White House. Same thing in India as well. I have no issues seeing you as a prime minister for the next 5 years, because I know you have the country's interest at heart.
Right.
So that's why, I mean, I'll be biased. I am biased. I love politics, but I think it pays for everyone to at least be somewhat interested in politics. At least give some time, maybe not every day, per week. You know, there's some time. This you know, go above the fray, go above the opinionated columns, go above people yelling on television sets. Read objective news and come to a conclusion for yourself. Don't let anyone out there tell you how to think. Don't let anyone out there tell you this is who you are. No, you are unique. You know your abilities. You have a brain. You're smart. Think for yourself. Never let anyone, and not to say that people will not have an impact on you. They will, absolutely. You know, people who are literally, you know, geniuses. Shakespeare's had an impact. Absolutely, nothing wrong. But think for yourself. That's the biggest thing. Think for yourself.
Superb. And I mean, you know, that understanding politics also helps you understand why the things are the way they are. Right? You'll get to start finding reasons of why something works the way it does. Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. 100%. Yeah. Absolutely. It's like, you know, because you see, it's a simple scapegoat. If nothing is happening, politics. If nothing is happening in public policy, if I have gaddhas in the case of Bombay, for instance, politics. Infrastructure is not developed, politics. Countries on a bad footing, on the back foot, cricket terminology, politics. Well, why? And how can you change it? And you have the power of number, don't you? I mean, 1.1 billion strong. And, you know, obviously we'll not agree on anything, let's be honest. And that's perfectly fine. You know, have a debate. Don't simply believe in my way or the highway. You know, don't simply unfriend a friend on Facebook just because he or she likes party A and you like party B. Don't do that. You know, if you want to challenge yourself, honestly, I would say the opposite. Befriend individuals who do not think the way you do. Because that way you will be outside that bubble. You will understand where the other entity is coming from, what the other perspectives are on issues, on policies that you care about. And that in turn will make you a stronger advocate of what you believe in on the basis of you having more information through which you can look at all sides of that issue or policy. It's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
So, challenge yourself. Simply do not say, hey, I don't like this particular commentary because he is biased for this party or that party, so I go to the next television channel. No, do that. Try to understand, well, why is that person thinking in that way? Put yourself in the other person's shoe. Where are they coming from? I know it's easier said than done. Trust me, it is. Especially when you're really, really passionate about something. Maybe a person or a policy or a party. I get that.
Yes.
But do that. If time permits, do that.
Yeah. Fantastic for all those insights are wonderful. And yeah, thanks for sharing all of that information with us. So my final question is, of course, you shared a couple of advice with the young students, but what is that one final piece of advice that you would like to give to the high school students who are considering political science?
Now, I don't know if civics is still compulsory or not. I hope it is in high school across Indian schools. I know that when I went through my school, civics was compulsory till 10th standard. But then obviously,
I think it's compulsory.
College. Yes. Sorry, it is now. Okay, fantastic. And so if you have the choice to get into an advanced course within the realm of political science, go for it. Take it, and don't be afraid of speaking your mind. Obviously, be polite when you're debating other individuals. Be collegiate. But have the debate. It's healthy. It's healthy. Don't get into a shouting match. Sometimes that might happen. Let's be honest. You're passionate, but obviously do not fight physically ever. but don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of talking. Politics. I understand it gets controversial. I understand that a lot of people get uncomfortable, but obviously don't push it. But talk about it. Talk about it with your parents, with your siblings at the dining table, and talk about it at school with your colleagues. Debate your teachers in high school. You have to be well informed, and a democracy can only sustain itself if people are well informed and people are engaged. If people stop being informed, if people stop engaging, then you tell me how exactly would democracy survive, right? We are trying to spread the wings of democracy in parts of the world whereby democracy today is simply not prevalent. So how do we spread what I think is highly virtuous democracy, democratization to other countries when we in our own backyard are simply not caring about it? If people back home care two hoots about it and simply believe that this is something that you want to stay away from, then how do we have the ability, the moral grounds to spread a system, which obviously, like any other system, has plenty of faults, absolutely, but still, personally for me, is the best system ever devised by human beings? How do we spread that if we ourselves back home are ill-informed or simply disengaged? So, I'm not asking any individual out there to, if you're interested, oh, fantastic, absolutely. But if you're not interested, still just try to be informed, a little bit here and there, and go beyond, posts of other individuals. I'm not saying do not look into it. Absolutely, try to assess where the other individual is coming from, but do not in politics in particular, but I would say life in general as well. Do not take anything at face value. Never take anything at face value. Debate it, challenge it, think about it. It's important, and it honestly will in turn develop your own critical thinking skills. Because you will go outside the box. You will try to understand it from an array of perspectives, and being highly globalized today. I think that will serve you really well down the road. So just be informed, be engaged, challenge, and talk to people, converse with people, but never ever let them tell you how you should think. That is not their business. You are smart, you know exactly where you stand, and you think the way you want to think. And and talk about it. Don't be afraid, right? I mean, tell your mother that, yes,
Yeah.
I understand it's controversial, but some things still have to be spoken in public.
Right.
In politics, right? I mean, because think about it. If today's high school student is not interested in politics, that's the country's future. You know, you want the smartest, the brightest to go into public policy making and implementation. You want the smartest and the brightest to be civic servants. You know, you want the smartest out there to say, hey, I'm going to take the entrance exam and I'm going to work for the government or work for a not-for-profit, basically work within the sphere of public policy making. So you want that. You don't, you know, I'm not saying that you don't want scientists. Obviously you do, absolutely. But this is also equally important. You know, if you have a vision, that vision can only see the light of day if you have individuals who are smart enough to understand all the issues, all the problems, and then come up with the respective solutions. So be engaged.
Thank you so much. That's an amazing piece of advice. Be engaged. Don't be afraid to put out your opinions, and don't let others tell you what to do. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Anip, for all those insights and for sharing all that wonderful thoughts with us. I'm sure students, some students are definitely going to get excited about political science after watching this. Superb. Thank you so much, Anip, for your time this morning. It was a pleasure having this conversation with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Take care.